Well, hello everyone. This is Carrie Beck with FamilyEbiz, and I am sorry I'm a few minutes late. We were all set to go on time at 3 o'clock, and then Facebook just went psh and disappeared. So I had to start all over. So my apologies for being late. There's really no good excuse. I'm looking at it and I'm like, even Facebook's got everything blurry today, but oh well. We're going to go ahead and get started. Today, what we are talking about is three things that are holding you back from success. And I will tell you right now that throughout the talk today, I am going to be giving away some $10 Amazon gift cards for interacting. So if you are here and you leave a comment, you may be chosen for a random $10 Amazon gift card. So that's sort of cool. Leave a comment. Every time you leave a comment, you're more likely to get maybe one of our Amazon $10 gift cards today. So let me go ahead and get started. We are going to be talking about three things that are holding you back from success. Let me go ahead and get started by just introducing our family. I meant to grab a picture, and since I don't have the picture right here with me, I'm going to do something a little different, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to get started. And that is, I'm going to just scoot right on here on the other side of the house, and just, if I can get it. There we go. That's not working. There we go, a little bit better on the family picture. As good as I can get. Steve's there on one side. Ashley is down here, right here. She's our oldest. She's married to Jesse and they have two kids, two girls. Gentry is right here. She's our middle daughter. She is married to Andrew and just had their second child, so they have a boy and a girl. Hunter's in the middle. He's our baby, and he is actually working at his first management consulting client on his own LLC, and it's out in Hawaii. Now, who wouldn't want their first contact, their first client to be in Hawaii? Pretty cool, and I'm excited because in October, I get to go out and visit and spend some time with him. I like to introduce my kids because and our family just because I think it's important that you understand what's going on, and especially for this particular talk. The reason is I'm going to be sharing some stories that we have experienced, and they're based on things that happened with with FamilyEbiz. And I'd like to start off by just telling you a little bit about FamilyEbiz and where that came from, and then we're going to lead into those three things that are holding you back from success. Now, as I said, throughout the time, I'm going to be looking for comments and giving out random $10 Amazon gift cards if you are interacting. So the first thing, you can leave a comment while I tell my story about FamilyEbiz is tell me what you think might be holding you back from success. And just write a comment in there and let us know what those things are, and I will look at those in just a minute. So FamilyEbiz began basically, I guess, when we were getting ready to leave from here in Texas, move up to Idaho so Steve could go to seminary. Well, you can't really take a remodeling contracting business that far away. Because that's what he had done. He had his own remodeling contracting firm and was very successful here in town. Actually grew up through the Home Builders Association. Somehow the stepchild remodeling person became the president. So he was very successful with that, but we knew that that was not going to be able to support us once we moved to Idaho. So we started looking for other things that would support us. And that is where FamilyEbiz sort of came into existence. And why did we call it FamilyEbiz? Because we have always worked together as a family. When the kids were little, a lot of it was just Steve and me. But as our children grew up, as we homeschool because we had the opportunity, more freedom, they became more involved in our business, and it truly became a family business. We traveled to different, the homeschool wing, we traveled to conferences, but even at conferences, Steve would speak about how families could have their own online business. He taught classes at homeschool conferences about that, and that is sort of where FamilyEbiz evolved. So the kids would run the booth and they would make a percentage off of whatever it was that we made that weekend. They also worked behind the scenes. They helped. Gentry ran shipping her whole high school and college years and took care of all shipping, because back then we actually shipped products to customers. And so we did that. Ashley helped behind the scenes with lots of different projects. Hunter, eventually, he really didn't start working with us too much, except on our weekly, when we would go traveling. When he was in college, he took over for Gentry, and he learned a lot. The kids, it always cracks me up, because they're like, they helped, they did QuickBooks, they did all sorts of stuff. But when they got to college and they took that first accounting course, they were like, oh my goodness, QuickBooks makes so much sense now. And I thought, yeah, I probably didn't do a good job of explaining it. I just said, here's what you need to do. That was sort of the beginning of it. But that isn't the only thing that we did. We did teach others. I remember being up in Idaho, and Steve launched his first course, Sites That Sell. And it was an actual, we took videos of it. They published them on DVDs or CD-ROMs or whatever you do, and they had workbook and everything, and we sent it off, and then people fulfilled it for us, and we sent it to all our customers. The first time we launched that course for the first week, he made like over $50,000. That was amazing. That would support us now we still had expenses, but it could still pretty much support us for a year up in Idaho. The problem was the credit card company held about half of it for 6 months. And so we still had to pay our affiliates. We had to, pay for our expenses. We didn't really see any profit till after those 6 months. So there were problems. There were things that we had to deal with. I actually did another course, Secrets to Online Auction Success. I was not near as successful. And I haven't had a chance to really go back and look at really old files because they're on other computers. But I made somewhere about $10,000 when I first launched that as well. So I share that story to let you know that we did have a lot of success. But eventually, by the time Steve and I came home, and we got here back to Texas after going to seminary, and he decided God was not calling him into the ministry. We get home, and about 9 years ago, Steve felt like he was selling false hope to our customers. And so he basically pulled out. Now, I will tell you that I think some of that was just messing with his mind. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about mindset. I think this is where God had us going at the time. I don't have a problem. I just left it alone and let him follow what God was leading him. And he moved back into Beck Construction as a remodeling contractor. But we sort of just let FamilyEbiz just sort of float along. There were other things that we had in place. There's a lot of stuff that by then that we had in place. But it just sort of floated along until the last 4 or 5 years. And so I'm going to save Steve's story till the very end of our talk to be able to tell you how I think you can overcome some of those thoughts. But as I mentioned at the beginning, go ahead and write down what are things that are actually holding you back. Nathan says, finding time to consistently create contact, balancing content creation and family life. Oh yes. Tired from working a typical 9-to-5 job. That is so true. It's hard, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, and then we'll do some Q&A at the end. And Jacqueline says, imposter syndrome. Not sure if I found my perfect niche yet. Oh, you got 2 things in there, actually, I think. Imposter syndrome and perfection. And then we've got the time problem and everything. And so those are just things that happen. So if you're just joining us and you haven't had a chance to write, what is the one thing that maybe is holding you back? Let us know. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with these 3 things. But I need to tell you that if you are just starting out, you should pay attention to these. Don't let yourself go down these rabbit trails. I'm going to tell you my stories and the things that I have really struggled with along the way, and some of my fears as well. So we are going to just start off, and Nathan, we're going to go ahead and give you a $10 gift card. So go ahead, and this is how it works. I forgot to tell you, if I announce anything that you get a $10 gift card, all you need to do is DM me, Carrie Beck, your email address that you want that sent to, and we will send you an Amazon gift card along the way. Myra says, I have no idea what I could help anyone with. Feel like I don't know enough. We're going to be talking about all of those things. So let's just jump right in. The first thing that I think holds a lot of people back is perfectionism. It's, I've got to wait until it's completely perfect before I put it out there. If you can relate to that, I am raising my hand because that's how I feel sometimes. I was a perfectionist. Go ahead and leave a comment saying if you ever struggle with perfectionist. Raise a hand or say amen. That is something, I grew up a perfectionist. Not that my parents encouraged that, but that was just how I was. Even this is a little itty bitty thing, but I love to sew. And when I was sewing as high schooler, if that seam wasn't just perfect, I was ripping it out and doing it again. Then I had children and I was like, good is good enough. No one's going to tell whether that seam is perfect on the inside if I make my kids a little skirt or a dress or whatever. And so I realized that good is good enough. There we go. Good is good enough. Dan Kennedy. You may not know who Dan Kennedy is. He is a direct marketing genius. He is someone I followed a whole lot. If you go in my library over here, we probably have 10 of his books. Unfortunately, he has passed away since then. He actually worked with, this shows how old I am. There used to be a commercial back in the 60s and 70s that went like this: only her hairdresser knows for sure. Meaning only her hairdresser knows if she's using coloring or if she's got gray hair under there. Dan Kennedy is the one that came up with that. And he says good is good enough. And we've got to realize that it does not need to be perfect to get it out there. I will tell you, even with I started 2 brand new events, or sort of brand new events, Homeschool Superheroes, Life Skills Leadership. And I still worry about, it's not perfect. I could see this and this. I need to change this and this. And I could not let my perfectionism take over. I needed to just get it out there. So let's see. Oh yes, Myra, we all can understand those perfectionist ideas. My homeschool daughter is connecting with your perfect seam analogy. Well, if she sews, yes. Seriously, I had to just get rid of that. And I'm telling you, once you have kids, perfectionism can sort of just throw out, Seth Godin, who has written a gazillion books, and it's all about marketing, he wrote a book called The Big Move. Stop trying to be perfect and start being remarkable. And that's really true. We need to quit worrying about being perfect and be remarkable. And I think some of that is transparent. And it doesn't really matter. If you've ever followed a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, who is really, he came, it was about 2007 or 8. We were in the wine industry, the wine country in Washington. We were up in Idaho. Steve was taking me away for my birthday weekend. I thought I was turning 50. I'd only turned 59, but we'd already planned the weekend. And Gary Vaynerchuk was brand new. And as we were sitting at breakfast at the bed and breakfast we were staying in, they were telling us, and we were talking about, we wanted to start a wine website. And they said, have you ever heard of this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk? He gets on and does short little video reviews of wines. Well, the man is just grown completely crazy. He is so successful, but he doesn't worry about putting things out perfectly. He just puts it out there, even if there is spelling errors or grammar errors. And that's really helped me realize that things don't have to be perfect. But let's go back to Seth Godin, the one who said, stop trying to be perfect, start being remarkable. His comment, his little phrase that sticks with me is ship it. Don't sit on it and wait till it's perfect. Ship it. Get it out there. It does not need to be perfect. But you're saying, oh, I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just trying to make it right. I just want it to be right. Oh, it's the same thing. You're just waiting and you're afraid to pull the trigger and get it out there. And I will tell you, getting it out there is more powerful than sitting on it until tomorrow. So it's really important that we do this. Or maybe it's not just your course or a PDF or a freebie that you're waiting to get perfect. Maybe it's your website. Waiting till it's perfect before you unveil it. I understand that. 2 years ago, we completely revamped FamilyEbiz. Now, it is a lot better than what it was, because it was still looking like what Steve did back in 2012 when he left it alone. And I was like, we got to get rid of this and we're going to revamp it. But I still look at FamilyEbiz today and I'm like, oh, look, we need to fix that. Oh, we need to fix that. But you know what I've realized? That it is working, and it is working for me now. It may not be the best, but it is working. And it needs so many edits and so many improvements, but I'm just not going to worry about that. Yes, I can make changes along the way, but I have to remember that good is good enough. So how can we overcome this perfectionism? Well, great entrepreneurs like Dan Kennedy realize that they are never perfect, but they are always learning. Now, they're not stuck in their learning. They are learning and getting and putting things out there. So realize, and if you want to write this down, you are never going to be perfect, but you can always be learning. That's one thing. The next thing is give yourself grace. Now, I tell my homeschool moms that all the time, especially when it comes to homeschooling and when it comes to just parenting. And for those of you, I didn't really introduce myself. I have a whole niche in the homeschool market, but then we also have FamilyEbiz to go along with this. So give yourself permission to do sub-A work, like B work. Now, that didn't go over very well with me. I was an A student. I mean, I was number 11 in my class of 500 plus students. Yes, I had really, really good grades in high school, and I did really well in college. I graduated somewhere in those summa cum laude, whatever things, but grades were important to me. But you know what? Does that mean that we need to have A work on every single thing that we put out there? No, especially when it comes to a lead magnet, a freebie that you're just trying to build your email list. Get it out there and get it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay for B work. Now, there are still times that we want to do our very best. But sometimes B may be our very best given the amount of time that we have. So we need to leave ourselves alone, give ourselves grace and patience. B is better than never putting it out there. Can you relate? Are you an A student? Are you the person that always feels like you need to be putting out A work? Put a comment in there if you want. So the next thing is take one step. It might be a baby step. It might be a giant leap. But I don't know how to exactly say this guy's name. Lao Tzu. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. The journey of success in your business begins with one step. So think about that. It's just one step. Take one step. And that's all we need to do. And then take the next step as well. So the first thing that I think is holding people back is perfectionism. The second thing that's holding people back is fear. So is there anything that you're afraid of in your business? Leave a comment. Let us know. All right? Because sometimes our fear holds us back. And we just start to play at blogging. We start to play at online businesses. This isn't a hobby. This is something that we want to build so that we can have a lifestyle that will give us the freedom that you want in your life. And yet, I will be honest, the homeschool business up until about 5 years was a hobby business. I played at it. I had fun at it. I helped people, but I really got serious about 5 years ago. I actually got even more serious about it about a year ago. I had a lot of things change in my life, And all of a sudden, I was like, okay, God, whatever, I'm trusting you. And even if I'm afraid, I'm going to move forward. What might be your fear when it comes to business? Rejection, upset consumers. Yes, I think that's true. I'm afraid someone will ask me something that I don't know the answer to. I understand that. Fear that I don't know enough to help anyone, just know a little about a lot. Thank y'all for, and Myra, thank you for your transparency and your honesty. You get an Amazon gift card. So I just think that is so important. We have to realize that sometimes we have fear that we're not going to be able to answer the questions that our consumers are looking for. We may not be able to answer whatever is going on there. One thing that I have found that a lot of people are scared of is we compare ourselves to others. And I love this quote, not my favorite person in history, but this quote is so good. Eleanor Roosevelt wrote, "You wouldn't worry so much about what others think of you if you realized how seldom they do." Think about that. It took me a second to think about it. You really wouldn't worry so much about what everyone else is thinking about you, whether you know the answers or anything, if you realized how seldom they do, how seldom they really think about you. And I think that's what's happened with a lot of times. We worry, oh, people are going to think this, people are going to think that, I'm afraid of what they're going to think. But really, people are in their own little world. And so we need to realize we don't need to worry and compare ourselves to others. The other thing that I think people get stuck in is constantly learning. What was that word? Let me see if I can find it real quickly. I think I wrote it down. Yesterday I was watching a podcast, and let's see. Where did I write that thing? I think I must have put it on my, yeah, I didn't write it down. It was like I can't think of it, but basically it was entrepreneurs who are stuck and they can't move forward because they're always learning. They're always learning, and they never will quit learning. And I have had more people in my FamilyEbiz group say, well, I'm still trying to learn everything before I get started. Well, that's going to hold you back. Sooner or later, you just got to take a leap of faith and get started, because you're really afraid. You're learning and you are substituting a bunch of activity that's not profit activity. And so you need to be able to pull the trigger. Learning is good, and we need to constantly be learning. But if you're learning and waiting until you know everything before you get started, you'll never get started. And so that's a fear for a lot of people. The other one is a fear of failure. And here's a story. Let's just pretend like you ended up with a big fat goose egg. Guess I can't really, there you go. A goose egg on your sales. I will tell you, I've done that. I've had an entire webinar where people attended and I had 0 sales. You people that think I got it all together in the homeschool industry, you just don't know all the history that's gone on behind me. I have had webinars where I made 0 sales. Well, what does that mean? Did I die? No, but I sure learned a lot of lessons. As Dan Kennedy said, and I did not write this one down, but just so you got his name, he says, fail fast. You need to learn to fail fast and get up and get moving and learn the lessons, because that's what failure is all about. And if you can't fail fast, then you can't be an entrepreneur. You are going to have failures, and I have had plenty of failures. Maybe I didn't always make a goose egg, but sometimes I only sold 2 or 3. Oh, that's horrible. But you know what? I still have to get up and get going. And I often wondered about this. I had a really hard time letting my kids fail. But yet I am really grateful to my parents for letting me fail. I remember in high school, I ran for all sorts of student council offices in junior high and high school. It wasn't until my senior year that I actually made the representative on the student council. Whoopee! But I think all those failures of not winning gave me the strength and the courage that I needed, that I would need to be able to do the things that I'm doing now. failure is good. We just need to be able to learn from it. What lessons can we learn? Thomas Edison said, I found 10,000 ways to not make a light bulb. He didn't say I found 10,000 ways to fail. I found 10,000 ways to not make it. That is the right attitude, and that's what we need when it comes to business. And that's what I have learned as well. I think it's important that we learn from our failures and we move forward. So that's one thing, fear. The other thing is, I think too often fear puts us in that little small category, and we're just playing at it. Well, I started thinking about this t-shirt. Let's see if I can hold it up. Go hard or go home. This is my son's senior shirt from senior year when he was playing football. And I really think it's true. What I wrote down was go big or go home. And that's really what we need to do. When we play small, it delays our success. Quit testing every little thing. You need to just show up and do it. And that's what happens. And when we do, eventually everything's going to start to fall into place. Again, this isn't a hobby business. It is a business, and we need to be working on it to provide a lifestyle that you would want. For me, that was a lifestyle of freedom, to be able to go to my kids when they need help with the grandkids, and to be able to work from anywhere in the world. Last October, a year ago, Hunter was living in Ecuador from September to December, and I went over there for a couple weeks, and I could work anywhere. I actually got to vacation. He'd keep working sometimes, and I just get my little backpack and go hiking around and see whatever it is I wanted to see and travel. I mean, we did spend a lot of time traveling together, but there are times he had to get some work done. And so I had the freedom because my business, I've worked hard on it, and I had one of the reasons is to be able to have the freedom to be with my kids as well. I also think that we need to be fully present. So one thing we can do to overcome our fear is to be fully present. That doesn't mean it's a full-time job, but when you are working part-time, you are fully there. You need to take the next step, no matter how scared you are. So let me be very honest about my fears. I ran an event called Homeschool Superheroes from 2010 to 2014. And then after that, I just sort of would play it in August and sell a few of them here or there, the whole bundle. I run really serious about it. Last year in 2020, don't even know what year it is. I thought this was about June. I was like, okay, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. Your life has changed. You're not traveling. You have time to do it. You're going to do it, Carrie. And so I did. And I ended up with about 30 speakers. And I became scared. What if it doesn't work? What if we don't get all the people that I think we should get? What if they don't sign up? What if my speakers don't make any affiliate commissions? What if? I was worried. I was truly scared. Because here, I knew how to organize an event. I wasn't concerned about getting it organized and having all the jots and tittles and all the places in the row. But what if we don't make any money? And these people are coming and they're creating content and making videos for me. And what if we get no one to sign up? I was truly scared. And yet I just had to leave that fear alone and keep taking the next step. I had to keep taking the next step. Eleanor Roosevelt says, we gain strength and courage and confidence by each experience in which we really stop to look fear in the face. We must do that which we think we cannot. And that's basically what I had to do, is I had to look fear in the face and keep taking the next step. I have to thank God, because that is truly the blessing. We ended up with like 2,500 homeschoolers sign up for free, and about 400 paid for lifetime access. It was a huge success. It was a blessing to me, and it completely changed the whole perspective, and it changed this business model. It changed so many things because God blessed me through that. What do we do with fear? Let's look at Mark Twain. Courage is resistance to fear. Mastery of fear not the absence of fear. Do you see that? Courage is not the absence of fear, and too often we think that's what courage is. Courage is resistance to fear. It is pressing into our fear, like Eleanor Roosevelt said. What'd she say? Looking fear in the face and mastering that fear. That's what we need to do in our business as well. So, another great quote. I like Mark Twain. He has great quotes. All right. So first we have perfectionism. Second we have fear. Now let's look at imposter syndrome. And if you're not sure what that is, let me explain it. If you've ever felt like this, leave a comment there. I'm just not good enough. I'm a fraud, and they're going to find out I'm a fraud. That's sort of what I was feeling. I think fear and imposter syndrome sort of go together. My course isn't good enough. My PDF isn't good enough. My video is certainly not good enough. I can tell you that. If y'all saw some of the videos I did long time ago, and they're sort of not that great. Not that they're great now. Who does she think she is? Who do I think I am? Those are thoughts of imposter syndrome. It's negative thinking, and it takes our energy away for focusing on success of a dream business. I believe this is where Steve was at the time when he let go of FamilyEbiz. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't the right thing to do, or it wasn't what God was calling him to do at the time, because I do think that's probably true. But so often we can get stuck in worrying about who we are and all sorts of things like that. I don't know if I can help anyone. So true, so true. If you've ever experienced imposter syndrome, leave a comment there. I want to read some examples of famous people. I think you will have heard of most of them and what they have to say. John Steinbeck. I am not a writer. Okay, I think he wrote Grapes of Wrath and lots of novels like that. I am not a writer. I've been fooling myself and other people. That's what he wrote. All right, let's see. Meryl Streep. If you haven't, she's been making movies for decades. Meryl Streep. You'd think, why would anyone want to see me again in a movie? And I don't know how to act anyway, so why am I doing this? That is like a famous. How many Academy Awards has she won? Kate Winslet. Sometimes I wake up in the morning before going off to a shoot, and I think, I can't do this. I'm a fraud. Jennifer Lopez, like how many, she says 70 million albums. Even though I had sold 70 million albums, there was a feeling like, I'm no good at this. And then the last one I have is Jodie Foster. When I won the Oscar, I thought it was a fluke. I thought everybody would find out and they'd take it back. They'd come to my house, knocking on the door, and say, excuse me, we meant to give that to someone else. That was going to Meryl Streep. You see, even these famous people that win accolades, they still have that fraud syndrome, that imposter syndrome. Like, I'm a fraud. Tina Fey has another one too. I didn't write hers down, but hers is basically like, well, take the accolades and accept it while they think that you're doing it well, and then eventually you're just going to have to accept that you're a fraud. How do we overcome the imposter syndrome? Amy Cuddy has this to say. Focus less on the impression you're making on others and more on the impression you're making on yourself. You need to be more concerned about the impression you're making on yourself or making on God, let's say, but we need to quit worrying so much about the impression we're making on others. We need to be honest about our ability, our credibility, and our success. Be honest that you actually do have some. I'd like you to take a second and write in the comments one thing that you've been successful at in the last 6 months, or one thing that you are proud of in the last 6 months. Write that down in the comments here. And as you do, I'm going to hold up a comment quote by one of my favorite leaders. I've read so many of his books. Some of you may not know who he is. His name is John Wooden. He won 10 national basketball championships, I think, in a row with UCLA. I think it's UCLA. Back in the 60s and 70s. He's just an awesome leader, an awesome man. He has since passed away, but he had this to say: do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. We need to pay attention to the gifts that God has given us, and use those gifts, and quit worrying about the things we can't do. I cannot sing. I would love to be able to sit here and sing a song for you, but y'all would say, see you later, Carrie. Okay? And so we need to pay attention to the things that God has gifted us. God has gifted me to be a teacher, and so that's why I can do this. So I need to not worry about singing, or not worry. I'm not even a big motivational speaker or anything, but I can teach. And so those are the things that I'm going to do, and I'm not going to let the other things interfere with us. What are some of the things that you've been successful at? Jacqueline says, I am proud of myself for teaching myself PowerPoint and building my own website. I knew absolutely nothing about computers. Woohoo, Jacqueline, you get a $10 Amazon gift card. That is awesome. Teach yourself PowerPoint and building your own website. I am really not that much of a technical person. I have discovered YouTube videos help a lot. Jacqueline, you also said, I have imposter syndrome. Even though I have successfully homeschooled for 18 years, I still feel like an imposter when talking about homeschooling with my business. That is so true. And yet, if we have results even in our own life, we ought to be able to share them. I actually feel the same way. I have a course on leadership education. I know it works. I've used it with my children. I have other families that have said it has helped them too, but I still, when I teach that and I sell it, I'm like, oh, is this really going to help them? Still messing with my mind. So how do we change this? We need to replace the lies in our head with truth. So here's what we want to silence the voices in our head. Write down whatever the lie is that's a voice in your head, whatever it happens to be. Write down that lie, and then write down a truth about who you really are, what God has to say about you. And let's just say with Jacqueline, she was saying, I feel like an imposter as far as homeschooling and telling others. Well, you could say, I feel like an imposter about telling other people about homeschooling, but then the truth is I have homeschooled for 18 years. I have 18 years of experience, and I don't know as far as you and faith and all, but we can say, and God has done this, this, and this in my homeschool. I can share those stories with people to help them. Or if you've ever helped someone, it doesn't have to be someone in your online business. Maybe you've helped someone at church with homeschooling. Write that down. So I helped so-and-so, and here's what happened. Now, I've done this for personal. I meant to actually grab my journal, and I forgot, but I have things that I have lies in my head, personal lies in my head. And so there are times I sit down and I write the truths about things. And some of them I am precious in God's sight. I am a child of God. I can enter the throne room of God Almighty. Those are personal things that counter the lies that are going on in my head. So be honest about your credibility, your successes. Replace the lies in your head with truth, and know that you need to let your why be bigger than your worry. This is something that Amy Porterfield says. She says, your why. What's your big why for having a business? To make a lot of money. It's not to make a lot of money. What is your why? For me, it is the freedom to be able to do things with my family. That's really what our why was when we started with FamilyEbiz. We wanted the freedom to be able to take off with our kids when we wanted to. We wanted the freedom to be able to run a business from anywhere in the world, to be able to go on mission trips, to be able to go on vacations with our kids from anywhere in the world. Amy Porterfield shares her story, and if you haven't ever heard it, she says when she launched her first course, probably about 10 or 12 years ago, she made $267. And the course cost $295. She says, yeah, I sold a few, but I had to subtract all my expenses as well. She says, that didn't stop me. Yes, I felt like an imposter, but that didn't stop me. So I went back to the drawing board. Her next launch, she made $30,000. Her next one, $118,000. Her next one, $283,000, and her next one, $950,000, almost $1 million in a launch. That is amazing. She did not let her failure or her fear of imposter syndrome stop her. She moved forward from there. Mark Victor Hansen of the Chicken Soup Soul series, you know what I'm talking about, he has this to say: don't wait until everything is just right. It will never be perfect. There's one thing we've already talked about. There will always be challenges, obstacles, and less than perfect conditions. So what? Get started now. With each step you take, remember we talked about taking a step, you will go stronger and stronger, more and more skilled, more and more self-confident, and more successful. And each time you do that and you feel more successful, it will replace that imposter syndrome. Now, I still struggle with the imposter syndrome, but I don't let it bury me. Just like my fear of homeschool superheroes, I didn't let it bury me, even though I was seriously scared to death. So, be honest about your abilities and credibility. Replace the lies in your head with truth. Let your why be bigger than your worry, and then keep showing up. Persevere. Perseverance leads to character. In Romans 5:3-5, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Suffering, or we could say failures, it produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. I think it's important when we persevere through those failures, through the trials, through the problems that are going to exist. If you're an entrepreneur, there are going to be problems you're going to have to solve. But that perseverance leads to character, character leads to hope, and hope does not lead to shame. And my hope verse is in Jesus Christ. And so I will keep my eyes focused on Jesus even when I'm struggling in my business. But I think it's that perseverance, taking one step at a time. We need to get up from our fall. We need to walk. We need to run. We may even need to just crawl and take baby steps. But we need to take the next step. And then we need to overcome the roadblocks that are sitting in our way. We might have a roadblock right here. We may need to go around it. We may need to go over it. We may need to just go straight through it, depending on what it is. So, overcoming these roadblocks. And then sometimes we may just need to help. We may need help. And we may need to ask for help. And so that is something that's okay. And that's what I think I have loved about FamilyEbiz, is being able to help other entrepreneurs work through whatever their issues are. Sometimes that's through coaching, and sometimes that's just through answering email. But one thing that I have come up with, and I announced, when did I announce it? Tuesday, today's Friday, is we have started something, and it will launch off in October, but right now is our FamilyEbiz Mastermind. Because sometimes it's hard to know who can I trust to be able to go and ask for help when it comes to online business, when it comes to blogging, when it comes to creating content, when it comes to balancing my life between family and all this stuff. How do I do that? And I would love to have a group of people to be able to bounce ideas off. And that is why we started FamilyEbiz Mastermind. It's sort of like having your own personal board of advisors, a group that will listen to you and give you advice. And sort of this is my hope with FamilyEbiz Mastermind is we will have groups of 6 to 8 entrepreneurs in a group. I will facilitate each one of them, and we meet one time a month. And it'll be about 3 hours. It will be for a while, because I don't have time to be meeting with one group twice a month. We're just going to do it and get it done with, and then you've got a whole month to work on whatever it is you decide to work on. I'm not going to tell you what to work on, but basically what we'll have is each time you will come and you can talk about one thing that you feel like you've had some success in and one thing that you need some help with. And so you'll get, hopefully your time will be about a 30-minute time period. You share what's working, and then we as a group we'll mastermind, we will bounce out ideas to work through whatever your problem is. And that's why it will be something personal. It's like you're having your own personal board of advisors that you can actually throw out your concerns. And then we'll, at the end of it, we'll say, so what are you going to do? And then we'll write that down. I'm going to send you your personal action plan, and then you've got 4 weeks to work on that. Now, that may be something that takes 2 months to figure out or work on. Some projects will be done in a month. Some may take 4 months, but we'll talk about it. But we want to encourage y'all to keep moving forward, to hold you accountable. This is something that I truly believe will help you take your business to the next level wherever you are. If you're just getting started, it'll help you take you to the next level. If you've been making a little bit of part-time income and you want to go to full-time, you can do that. It may take all year to actually get to that full-time income, but that's what we want. We want to be able to give you a trusted group of entrepreneurs, advisors that will listen and advise you on the next step, to help focus you on being accountable and to be focused, to help you focus on profit-making tasks, to provide cutting-edge, up-to-date strategies to grow your business, and to help you overcome your fear, your perfectionism, your imposter syndrome, or whatever it is. I know for me, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to put this out there and no one's going to even going to read my blog post. That's a fear. And I'll be honest, I love speaking. I like speaking at conferences, but I don't get invited that often. And yet when I do, people are very kind to me. And I could really dwell on that and go, well, I'm just not good enough to get invited. Well, no, that's not true. That's just not where God has me right now. And so I do have fears of that, or feel like, wow, I'm just not good enough when all these other people get invited to this event or that event. So again, we will meet once a month. And let's see what else I was going to say. Brainstorm. The power of the group is more powerful than the singles coach as well. And you will have a pre-homework thing that will take, I would guess, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. You're basically just going to jot down one thing that you've had success with, and then what is it that you want us to talk about. But you've got to turn that in ahead of time, because we will make an agenda. We will use a timer, so we won't have someone that's just going on and on for an hour and take up everyone else's time. When that timer's up, the timer's up. And if you rambled on about something and didn't get all the feedback because you were talking the whole time, that would be on you. So I actually have, we originally paid $10,000 a year to join a mastermind. We did that for about 4 or 5 years with Steve back when we were running FamilyEbiz. And we actually had to travel to Washington, D.C. 4 times a year. And so there was a huge expense. It paid for itself. We did get enough feedback and we implemented things, but we are a family of action. So that is one thing. We're not going to charge you that much. I actually had someone that was going to charge me $300 a month for group coaching, and we were just going to meet twice. All we were going to get were like 3 or 4 hours total, and that was it for a month, and I wasn't going to pay that. So this is $37 a month, and so you can sign up if you want to. I will get that link and put it in the comments in a section. But you'll also get a buddy system. You'll have a buddy in your group that you'll need to check on at least once a month, just to make sure that they're doing okay, and they'll check on you, but you could check on more often. You'll get your pre-homework template that you'll need to fill out, and then that will help you be prepared as well. At the end of each session, we will send you a monthly action plan based on what your session went through and what you said you wanted to take care of. You'll get a video recording of the entire mastermind. You'll get a roadmap. After about 3 months, we'll sort of get a feel for your business, and we'll start working on a roadmap for you to get to whatever that goal is. And then there will be private training each month by myself or by a guest expert that will cover whatever topics we feel like y'all are looking for. And then if you are a founding member, and these are all founding members because this is the first time we've ever done this, you'll get a bonus course, Create Your Side Hustle Income. and it's a 12-week course that's already in the members area. And if you continue to January, in January I will start doing a private 30-minute coaching call with each of the people that have continued into January, and we'll be working to those in January and February of 2022. So all of that is $37 a month. That is a good deal. That is less than what I was originally going to charge. We've had private groups memberships, but they were always $97 a month. I could foresee this going up to $97 a month, maybe in 2022, but right now we're going to keep it at $37 a month. One of my hopes is that this will help you move from feeling like a nobody to a rock star that serves your audience. We will talk a lot about serving your audience and the success you can have by serving others. You can quit doing all the work manually and follow some systems that we'll be sharing along the way. Those systems can give you freedom to spend more time with your family. And then quit trying to figure it all out on your own. Hey, Jacqueline, I know what it's like to figure it all out on my own. But hopefully as a group we can encourage each other and share systems that are already working. So I may be able to give you a system on Pinterest, but you may be able to give me a system on Facebook ads, because I am still figuring those things out. So we all have expertise that we can share with each other. And I think when we figure it out on our own, sometimes that leads to confusion and a lot of wasted time, and we want to help you focus on profit-making activities. Now, this actually went a little bit longer than I expected, but anyway, if y'all have questions, I'd like to answer that. Consistently posting videos on YouTube, growing an audience. Okay, Nathan, I'm thinking this was a question. I would like to make a comment on that, but I am going to, if you have any other questions or comments, I'm going to talk about YouTube for a second and videos. And because I actually have started a system, it's not completely in place like I would like it to be, but I'll share my system that I use for videos, because I think YouTube, I think it's the #2 search engine out there below Google. And so here's what I use for mine. And oh wait, let me just 1 second. I'm going to put this link because I completely forgot. Let me put this here, because I meant to put this here. Okay, that's the link to the mastermind if anyone is interested. Oh, somehow it posted twice. Okay, so if you're interested in seeing more of the details and everything, you can. Nathan, I think, yes. Okay, so YouTube video, consistently posting. Here's one thing. This is a very long video. I don't know the last time I've made a video this long on Facebook. Most of my Facebook videos are 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, because I think that's about how long people have to watch. So here's what I do. I try to stay consistent. And on Monday afternoons, I get online around 4 o'clock Eastern time with my homeschool group, and I talk about a topic for about 10, 15 minutes, and it depends. Sometimes it's strategy homeschool, sometimes it's, hey, here's the fall time, look what you can be doing. Oh, here's how to do an activity, here's how to teach writing. Or it could be, I did a lot on mindset this summer, on helping moms get rid of the negative thinking and the worry here. And so they were all very short videos. Here's what I would do. I can take my Facebook Live video, and then I can download it and put it into my YouTube, and then it's there, and I can put whatever links to whatever freebie or affiliate link or a product, a sales product, or a a discount, whatever I want to put in there. I can put that on my YouTube video. I've been building up my YouTube account for that, for Ranger Press, and that is my homeschool one. And then my goal, but I haven't done very well, I started out doing it, is then I would take my YouTube video and I would embed it into a blog post. And then I'd put a little introduction, I'd have the video, and then a little conclusion, and that would be a brand new blog post. So my goal is that I would take my Facebook video that takes 10, 15 minutes maybe, and then move it to YouTube, and then I can use that to make a blog post. One video, 3 places it's being shared. that's just something that's my goal. Right now, we're really good at getting it from Facebook to YouTube. The bottleneck, whatever you call it, I'm really bad at analogies and mixing them all up, is me, because I need to write some sentences, and I've got some ideas on how I can overcome that, but we haven't done it. I do have an assistant that helps me move them from Facebook to YouTube as well. I have a whole nother YouTube channel for FamilyEbiz. So after, what happens is on Mondays, I go on for about 10 or 15 minutes my homeschool, and then at the half hour, I go on with FamilyEbiz, and I try to talk about something like that. And then so I get 2 videos each day. One's in the homeschool niche, one's in my FamilyEbiz niche, and then they go into separate YouTube channels. Now, the other thing is preparing. It doesn't take me long to prepare because it's just all up here, and I just make notes. Now, today's video was a lot of notes because it was a lot longer. But my Facebook videos, a lot of times I can prepare them in about 15 minutes. I write down something, and I don't make them so extensive. Like if I were going to do this on my Monday thing, here's what I would have done instead. I would have only talked about perfectionists one week. And then the next week I would have talked about fear, and that's it. And then the next week I would have talked about imposter syndrome. I would have broken this into at least 3, maybe 4 weeks worth of information. And so, but I was doing this because it's part of our, I wanted to let you know about our mastermind. And I feel like a lot of times people get stuck with these 3 things. And I personally believe our mastermind is going to help people get unstuck. And so that was why I did that as well. So I just rambled about videos and stuff. Would the mastermind be good for a newer blogger business owner? I don't know if I would have a lot to offer the group. Well, there's your imposter syndrome. I actually think you probably have a lot to offer, Jacqueline, because you actually have a website. We have some people that have signed up that are just getting started. Like they're like literally getting their website started. So I personally think there's 2 ways to look at this. Yes, first of all, let me just say this. I will be dividing the groups. My hope is that we divide it, and yes, each group may have a few new people in it, but they will have mid-level experience and more experienced people. That's why there's an application. And I'm happy to share the application, but I don't have the link sitting here, so I will add it later. But I personally think it's a great way to get started, because why not get started on the right foot? I wish someone had held my hand and took me when we figured everything out. We've been doing online business in homeschool niche since about 2004. That's about when we started learning direct marketing, lead magnets, freebies, all those kinds of things. And so although we knew a lot of it, it's just there's a lot of little moving parts. And so that's what I'm hoping Mastermind will help you with. And if we need to, I don't mind, like in the middle of a mastermind, if we need to do a whiteboard and draw out exactly whatever a process is and give it to everyone in that group so that it will help them see the steps, we'll do things like that. But I think it's good for anyone at any level. If you've already gotten started, you've probably made some mistakes. Well, why not get started and avoid some of those mistakes? So if you have specific questions too, Jacqueline, let me know, but I'm happy to answer them. I know one of the things that I keep getting, and I'm working on an email that should go out tonight or tomorrow about questions. One of the biggest questions is how much time will it take? Here's my answer. The meeting itself will take about 3 hours. I mean, give or take, depending on how many people. But if we have 6 people in a group, that's 30 minutes apiece, and that would be about 3 hours. But it will take some prep work. So that means you're going to need to fill out the little homework sheet. And really, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you put the time in to think through what your problem is right now and what you need help solving, and that may take only like 15 or 20 minutes. Then you'll get a lot more out of your time, but you need to think ahead of time. We're not going to just let you show up and fly off the seat of your pants. You need to turn that in because we will have an agenda. Then afterwards, between that meeting and the next meeting, it is really up to you how much time you want to spend working on your business and working in your business so that you can make changes and move forward. So I need help figuring out what to blog about. I saw that, Mara, and I saw your application. And so that is something, you know, and I'm going to work through some, I actually have, I'm going to look for some, like some questionnaires or something like that. Actually, I'll tell you what I am going to do. Steve has a course on how do you brainstorm and how do you come down with the best topic, the best niche. So I'm just going to throw that out right now, and that is now a bonus. And I've got to look at, I don't remember the name of whatever the product is, but it is a questionnaire that you work through to be able to narrow down what you're going to pursue. And so I will be adding that to the members area this weekend, and so you can be looking for that. I will be adding that to our sales page so people know that that is now a new bonus, and I think it sells for like $20, but hey, you can get it for free if you join the mastermind, especially because we do have a few people that are joining the mastermind that don't have their niche chosen yet. And so that will be something that I would highly encourage you to do before the first mastermind meeting in October. And I'll probably touch base with you before that as well. Okay. Looking good, and I already talked to Nathan about that. And so I think that's probably it. If y'all have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and close off. I just can't believe I actually can keep up with the comments since they've completely changed all of this on Facebook. So thank y'all for your time. Remember, fear, perfectionism, imposter syndrome. Biggest things, take a step, and the next step, persevere, and keep moving forward, and replace the lies in your head with truth. I sort of forgot everything that I said. Give yourself grace, and it's okay to have be work. Take a baby step. Go big or go home, and we need to press into our fears and then be honest about our abilities. We all have abilities and gifts, so just be honest and don't belittle them. I'm Carrie Beck with FamilyEbiz. Y'all have a great day.